Hello everyone, my name is Angelo and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to go back to basics. So basically this series is supposed to kind of illustrate how to properly handle a firearm, how to shoot a firearm, how to do all these other things with a firearm, specifically a handgun. Now there will be a section on revolvers, it just won't be in this video. Basically what we're going to go over today is simple firearms handling. So first, again, I'm Angelo. I am a normal I'm a normal everybody just like you. And as long as you follow the simple instructions, you will never ever have a firearm mishap, at least by you. I mean, there might be one, but it might not be caused by you. So, first and foremost, we should start with the weapon safety rules. There are 4 official rules and then one kind of honorable mention / 5th rule that I'm going to talk about today. So the the best way to remember it is how I was taught in the Marine Corps, which was treat, never, keep. As long as you can remember those 4 words, hopefully you can remember the rest of the firearm safety rules. So the first one is treat every weapon as if it were loaded. So taking this firearm, just as an example, as you can see the magazine and the round are here, but we're gonna act as if it was loaded. So if it had a magazine in it, we're gonna eject it, and then we're just gonna open and inspect the chamber, and as you can see, it is empty. So you treat every weapon as if it's loaded. So what does that actually mean? So this is when we go to weapon safety rules 2 through 4. The second weapon safety rule is do not point at anything that you do not intend to shoot. So luckily for me, right here behind the camera is actually a wall, and beyond that wall is another wall, and beyond that wall is the outdoors. So essentially it would go wall, hallway, wall, outside. Now what's outside? The outside of my house, I have a little side like alleyway, and it goes straight into a stone wall. So if I were to fire this gun right now, assuming it went through both barricades, it would just hit a stone wall on the other side, and there's nothing there that I wouldn't mind destroying by pointing the gun in this direction. With that being said, the third weapon safety rule is keep your weapon on safe until you are ready to fire. So this gun here, as you can see, if you are into firearms, has no safety. So now I'm going to grab a gun that does have a safety. This is going to be a subcompact gun. So right here in the back, so first we're going to clear this, because every firearm is loaded, remember. So here, if you look at this, the safety is actually right here, and it's just actuated by flipping it up. So on most handguns, not all, but most handguns, not including revolvers, the safety, all you have to do is flip it up, and then you just flip it down to turn it off. Now what the safety does is different from gun to gun. So in this gun, in this case, makes it so that way the trigger is inoperable, meaning that I can't even pull it back even if I wanted to. Now there are other safeties that when you turn them on, it just turns the trigger into a dead trigger, and the trigger will be squeezed freely. So basically, just keep your weapon on safe if you have one. Setting this off to the side, and then you have the final rule, which is keep your finger straight and off the trigger until you intend to fire. So what does that mean? So I'm going to pick up my handgun here, and I'm going to illustrate that. So that means that when you do not intend to fire, your booger hooker is going to be right here on the frame or even on the slide. I actually wouldn't recommend the slide because slides get hot, but that's just me. So right here, and luckily for me in this model, if you look, I'm going to bring it up a little bit, you can actually see that there's checkering right here on the gun. So with that being said, I just rest my finger on the checkering, and then when I'm ready to fire, I put my finger on the trigger, and then when I'm done firing, it goes right back onto the checkering. And the same thing goes with smaller pistols. So if I were to pick up this weapon right here, I would rest it right here. Now there's no index here at all, but I would rest it right here and then go to fire and then rest it right here again. Same concept even if you're right-handed. In case that was a little weird for you, index right here and then trigger and then index right here. As long as you follow these 4 weapon safety rules, the chances of you having a negligent or accidental discharge is very, very low. Now, I'm not recommending you do this, but in theory, if you violate one of the 4 weapon safety rules, the chance of you having a negligent discharge is very, very low. So, case in point is right here. This does not have an external safety, meaning the safety that's right here on this shield. Now, with that being said, it does have a trigger safety. So, with that being said, technically this weapon is unsafe. Now, you have the SIG P320, which has no safety whatsoever and does not have a trigger safety. And I carried that gun for about a year and a half, and I never had an accidental or negligent discharge. And why is that? It's because I followed the other 3 weapon safety rules. Meaning, and out of the 3 that I was following was 4th one, which is keep your finger off the trigger until you intend to fire. I, for the most part, never intended to fire that weapon unless I was on the range, so my finger was never on the trigger. Pretty straightforward, because there are people that are firearm veterans that still break these rules and accidents still happen. Now, with that being said, there is an honorable mention, number 5. This one is more when you're actually firing your firearm, and it's know your target and what lies beyond it. So with that being said, this goes for the range, this goes for in a defensive gun use, this goes for pretty much any point in time where you have to actually draw your firearm and use it. So what is that saying? That's saying that whatever you intend to shoot, consider what is behind that person, that animal, that thing. And for an example, a good example of this is if you are going to shoot a person in a defensive gun use, but there is a crowd of people behind him, maybe you shouldn't shoot him. Or at least if you're going to shoot him at the very last possible moment. Now, granted, this is not actual advice I'm giving you, but in the sense of safety, you would shoot him at the last possible moment where you know for sure that your round is not going to go somewhere else and probably hit someone in that crowd, because no one wants that. Now, moving on, this is kind of going a little more in depth. I can cover this in a different video, but, or actually, you know what? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think I'm going to cover this in a different video, and it would be the weapons condition. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you dislike this video, give it a dislike. I do have a Facebook page if you have any more questions, and of course, you can always leave a comment down below if you have a question, and I will get back to you. And of course, I have a Patreon if you're interested in supporting the channel. But yeah, so those were your 4 weapon safety rules and an honorable mention. And in no way or form am I a lawyer, in no way or form am I giving you legal advice. I'm just saying that as long as you follow these 4 rules, the chance of you having a negligent discharge is pretty unlikely. All right, well, that's all I have for you. I will see y'all in the next one.